The universal safety is the provider of safety and security systems for all commercial customers, and they have a presence in the US and Canada. So currently they have around 100K commercial customers, and they're expecting to have a rapid growth. And also for next year, they're also looking for almost 100% growth in their assets. The current problem situation for them is a non-integrated system because of the acquisition, and also a lot of monitoring system behind the scene are not integrated as such. That's create additional work for their employees, and they are seeking opportunity for how they can unify all the systems by leveraging Salesforce platform. So in the coming few minutes, we are going to talk about how Salesforce solution is going to digitize their solution, their problems. Moving on to the risks and assumptions. The first one is that they have a ERP for US and Canada, but they only have a day one DST environments. So it means we need to use a lot of mock services and a shift left testing approach by means the testing as early as possible into the development and the testing phases over there, and contract first agreements for the developing any services. Then mobile for community, we have stringent timelines to deliver the project in 4 months. So it means we also need to in time to apply for the mobile publisher licenses, as well as to making a provision, and also Salesforce can apply to Google and apply for the licenses. Then aggressive timelines. So that's required a stakeholder management, very strong, and also top-down approach to make sure that all the teams who are required to make this project success align with the timelines and also the quality of the project. The next one is the change management, because you are going to onboard the customers on this platform as well as the contractor as well. So upfront communication to them, the getting the access to the portal is very much paramount, so that they can start from day one without any problem. The assumptions, the ERP and monitoring supports the REST API, and ERP team resources available and assigned to this project, because currently it is a completely standalone entity within the universal safety. So we required to be them part of this particular whole project. So that's all about risks and assumptions. Moving on to the org strategy, I would highly recommend to use the single org strategy. The rationale, because no compliance requirement purely from a Salesforce sales point of view. And also the unified business processes across US and Canada. And also the data volume can be manageable within a single org. The next one, we can also enable the multi-language and multi-currency and translation using custom labels, because we have a few custom components. The translation workbench and also the community translation we can use, because we are going to use the Salesforce community for the contractors as well as for the customers. So that's all about our strategy. Moving on to the actors and licenses. The first one is the system specialist, the internal one. We are going to assign them service cloud licenses and also the EA growth, because they also have a reporting requirement. And also as a part of a service cloud, they also need to have access on a cases and opportunity. They are going to use AD and ADFS as identity over there. AD as the identity store and ADFS as the identity provider. The similar licenses are also going to be there for a support rep and a manager as such. And for support rep, the additional reason is because of the omni-channel they want to support the customers. The contractors are external party. We are going to give them partner community, because they need to have access to the quote and opportunity, because they are going to work closely with the customers to work upon a quotes. So that's the reason I have assigned them a partner community licenses. And also identity, they are going to use a Salesforce as identity. For customers, we have two segments, primary and secondary. For the primary customer, I'm proposing to use a customer community plus, because of the delegated admin access over there and also the few reporting requirements. And for the secondary customers, I'm planning to assign them a customer community licenses, just because they need access to the cases. Both will be consuming the social identities from Facebook and Google. So we'll have a configuration in Salesforce for that one. So total in nutshell, we are looking at a file storage of around 6,000 GB. That's very important to know upfront, because of the lot of file management need to be done in this particular scenario as such. Moving on to the role hierarchy. So at the top, I'm assuming there is a CEO, and also there is a global heads for sales in the US as well as for Canada. So for sales Canada, you can assume the similar hierarchy that we have it for the VP sales US over here. After that, we have a regional managers, then office managers, and a system specialist. And the contractors are nothing but the partner committee licenses. For them, in a role hierarchy, the system specialist will be the upper one on that one. Then we have also the service organization standing on its own feet globally. And in that case, we have two regions in the US and one region in Canada. So we have dedicated support team over here. So moving on from the role hierarchy towards the system landscape. So from system landscape point of view, the systems at the bottom over here, these are the on-premise systems over there. So to start with that one, we also have the ETL, okay, especially for the data migration heavy load that is planned in this particular scenario. That's why I'm going to plan to use the ETL over here, and which is also going to use the bulk API from a Salesforce and a JWT OAuth for authentication with respect to the Salesforce. They'll also have a ESB for real-time transactions. I'm going to use that one. And also the monitoring system, the ERP systems are going to connect with the ESB using a REST API. And ESB will be connecting to the Salesforce with the JWT auth flow with a reverse proxy enabled over there. And also there will be the two-way SSL to have a secure communication over there. Then on the right hand side, we have the identity systems. The first one to start with that AD as an identity store. And I'm also planning to use the ADFS to federate that particular identity. So in that case, ADFS will be identity provider. And we will configure ADFS as identity provider in a Salesforce. We'll also have a my domain also enable. I haven't shown over here, but I will also enable my domain if suppose we need to start the flow from service provider, in this case Salesforce, and that there will be a SAML 2.0 protocol will be used during that whole authentication process over here. Then also on premise, we have also data warehouse because we have a lot of data going to get create. We also need to offload that data to make sure that we have optimum performance again within a Salesforce platform. So that's why I'm proposing to use a data warehouse. So ETL will make sure that it will take the archive data from Salesforce and move to the data warehouse, as well as it will delete the data within the Salesforce. Then we have old CRM. We'll talk about a complete migration approach in few minutes. So we'll also get the data from old CRM via ETL and we'll push into the Salesforce over here. Then from ESP, the monitoring system 3x, and also the ERP 2x, one for US and one for Canada. We're using a REST API, but also at the bottom, we also have an identity with the SAML 2.0. So that's about the this on-premise system. Moving on to the cloud over here, in a Salesforce over here, we have a Salesforce Connect because we have some more order details that we need to set from the ERP system. So we are going to use a Salesforce Connect for that one. Service Cloud, which I already mentioned on a previous slide, one of the licenses, Community Cloud for partners and customers, especially for customer community and for partner community, contractor partner community, by the way, and Einstein Analytics for the few heavy duty volume analytics that we need to force, that we are forcing in this particular scenario. For App Exchange, so this is a buy versus build decisions because we are going for a 4 months project life cycle. So I would strongly recommend to use the App Exchange that will make life easy in terms of a maintenance of the software, as well as also quick fast gain in terms of a project delivery. So first one is the Talkdesk as a CTI provider that we require. Then Xbox, especially for the high volume file storage. The DocuSign as a complete one single pack that App Exchange available over there, which allow us to have document generations that nothing but a code document can be created for the customers over there, and also the signature from the customers can be available on that one. The SMS Magic for the sending the SMS notifications to the customer as such. So next to that one, we also have a website. We also need to have a small modification over here on a website to have also the web to lead that comes in a Salesforce over here, possibly also with a reCAPTCHA over here, and also the Salesforce mobile app for the internal users. There will be user agent flow over there. And I'm going for the Salesforce mobile app. One of the main reason is that most of the requirement that mentioned over here can be achieved with the Salesforce mobile app. And I do not foresee a need of any huge customizations to have a hybrid or a native mobile app. So all the requirement can be met with Salesforce mobile. Then mobile publisher, especially for the customers to make sure that they can raise the case while scanning the barcode of the asset as such. So we can also fulfill that requirement by using the mobile publisher, which is nothing but a surfacing community into the mobile app. There will be also the user agent flow, okay, around a plus in conjunction with the social sign-on OpenID Connect over here. That is also with Facebook and Google. They can log into the OS systems over there. One of the system I miss out, which is nothing but a design tool. So that is currently being used to create a large designs. We are going to integrate with the Salesforce with the Canvas SDK and with the sign request over here in this case. So all the design tool people can create in the design tool itself. We are not going to change that one, but as soon as we have the file get created, we are going to move it into the Xbox over here in this case. So that's all about the system landscape. So moving on to the next slide, which is all about the integrations. I will talk about integrations in the overall solution discussions over there, but quickly look at the few ones. The first one is about the Salesforce to the Google API to get the locations from a mobile device. The next one from a ERP to the Salesforce for contractors, because contractors are being managed as a master data management system in the ERP. So we need to get that data so that we can enable a contractor user account within a Salesforce and enable the Salesforce identity. Next one is about the Salesforce to ERP at the order and order lines to make sure that we are sending the order and order lines in the ERP. And also the Salesforce Connect we are going to use to see the detailed order as I mentioned before. The next one from ERP to Salesforce to send the order status back in the Salesforce. And from monitoring system that we have it, okay, the events device registration that comes in. So we also need to have the asset creation within a Salesforce. That's why we have another integrations. Then also we have a Salesforce to the ERP. We have an invoice integration to make sure that the invoice get created in the ERP system. So we are going to use the platform event and flow with a fire and forget mechanism. Then we have a from Salesforce to the ERP service order and also the service order status over there. And for the service order, we have a two mechanism from the ESP. One is a request and reply and fire and forget. I will talk about why we have a two mechanism over here during the explanation of the scenario. And from Salesforce to the ERP, the service order status once get closed. So that is also going to be the request reply. Then monitoring system to the Salesforce. If suppose any device malfunctioning or some issue comes in, then we should able to create a case within a Salesforce. We are going to have a remote call and fire and forget integration between the monitoring system and a Salesforce. So that is just a high level introduction of the integration as such. Moving on to the data model. So at the core, we have an account and a contact to start with that one. And when I say account over here, we are also talking about a customer account as well as a contractor. Here, I am keeping contractor the account because they are also acting as a company and they're working for a certain company. And that's the reason I'm assuming them as a business accounts over here. Then we have a contact with the control by parent, okay, with respect to the account. And the kind of a business process that runs over here for our customers, we create opportunity and opportunity products. That is also in conjunction with the price book, which is assigned to the opportunity, as well as the price book entry related to the opportunity product that we have it. Definitely we have a products, okay, that is also relationship with the asset to the customer. But prior to that one, when the opportunity get closed, we also have the during that whole opportunity management process, we also have a multiple codes and code lines created for the customer. If customer gets satisfied over there, then we create order and also we close the opportunity over here. So once the order get created, the order gets synced back into the ERP system. Then also we have a detailed view of that order get to see over here. That is also the order details, nothing but the external object, the indirect relationship with the order product over here in this case. That is all about the sales process. Moving on to the service process. So there are two types of a service thingy over here. The first one is that the regular maintenance of the devices. So that's where actually we create a work order and work order lines based upon the schedule of that particular locations for which the maintenance need to be done. So based upon a location, we'll have the work and work order lines will be created at the nightly batch, and we will send those service order back into the ERP system over there. So that's where the work order line send back into the ERP system. Next to that one, we also have the cases get created because of the problems within the monitoring system for particular devices over there. So that can be done from the community as well as by the support rep as well, and also from the mobile app as well. So those particular cases get also get created over there, and that may also yield into the work order for which also we need to have integration back. So we are going to reuse the service order integration in that case. We also have the financial data that comes in, okay, but that there is a restriction about only few people can see that one, especially the management. So I'm going to have the lookup relationship with the account, so that will not able to, no one able to see that one except few designated people. And importantly, account will have a multiple location. So I'm putting the location as the custom object over here in this case. And also with the location, we also have a multiple asset attached to that one. So there is also the relationship between a location asset over here. Next to that one, okay, one of the things I forgot, which is nothing but the lead object to start with that one, the entire process. But nevertheless, okay, we have the leads. When it get convert, we create account, contact, and opportunity. One of the few implications because of the data volume on a work order and cases and assets, because of the large data volume that we foresee over here. And for asset, it can go max up to the 30 million within 5 years, for work order around 3 millions, and for cases around 6 million. To mitigate the LDV for cases, we need to see how, when you are doing the UAT testing, we need to see the performance for cases for 6 million records. We can think about using the skinny tables and try it out over there, and also the look at the how performance can be tuned over there. The next one is about also the work order. The same what we need to do, that once that work order get finished, we need to archive the old work orders over there. So that's where the archiving policy need to be defined over there. For asset, currently I'm putting them on asset object. I cannot use the skinny table over here in this case. It's the still large data volume over there. So what we need to do over here, we need to archive the assets based upon that particular asset is not activated, or specifically that particular asset become too old, it is not in running position over there. So we need to think about all those permutation combination to make sure that we keep the volume up to the level over here in asset object over here in this case. And currently I'm going to still use the asset object. The reason is that in future, if you want to use the asset and asset token flow, that is the assumption. But if suppose we need to do, then it's better to keep it in a standard asset object. Otherwise, it will create a little bit of problem in future over here. So that's moving on to the data volume stuffs, which I just discussed now. So the few of the things that we need to discuss about the accounts. Okay, remove the discontinued accounts possibly. Same goes for a location. And for cases, work, and asset, okay, archive policy need to be defined, and that also need to be discussed with the business to take a right call and to manage the volume rightly over there. So that's all about the data volume over here in this case. Let's move to the business requirements that we have it in the scenario. The first business requirement, business process requirement, that first part that comes in about sales and a design as such. So in a sales and design, the first one is that the prospective customers can make a phone calls, or either they can also request directly on the website. And for that one, I'm recommending to use the Apex and CTA product talk test, for an example, and also in conjunction with omnichannel, because the omnichannel status can sync between a talk test and omnichannel. So we know what is the capacity available of that particular agent. So we need to do the capacity based routing and also the region, so that the available people will get a notification that they need to pick up this particular lead as such. Then there is also requirement to have the web to lead. Okay, that's on a form that people can request information over there. So that's where the web to lead comes in a picture, that we can enable it on the web. Not enable it on a web, by the way, but we need to provide a mechanism from a Salesforce to snippet so that they can put it on the website over there. They are approximately expecting to have a 5,000 prospective customer per month. So daily limit of 500 of leads. So so it means on a monthly basis we can go with a 15,000. But if suppose on a per day, one of the day actually it's come more, then it will go into the particular queue, and that particular queue is also having a limit of 50K. So we should be okay with this approach. The next one, the support representative pre-qualifies the prospective customers over here. So in this case, I'm planning to use the also lightning flow to also to have the questionnaire to get onboarded over here. And also based upon that particular questionnaire, we can think about to convert the lead as such. And when this is the place where we are going to convert the lead, where we'll also create a customer as a prospect, as well as create an opportunity over here. For the scheduling visits, we can also use events over here in this case. The next one is about the site visit. When the system specialist goes over here, they can upload the file. So that can be also very quick action. Keep in mind that limit of 100 MB for a file. Okay. And next one is about also the preliminary estimates that are about creating a quote as such. Here, we are not going to give a quote object access to the customer, but we are creating a document of the quote, and by using the AppExchange product DocuGen, and we are going to send that one. And also the capturing GPS, that's where I'm proposing to use the LWC component and using a Google API behind the scene to fetch the GPS information, and we can store it in a longitude, longitude, 3 fields within a Salesforce as such. Moving on to the next one, the customer to access Salesforce to view the estimate, it means we need to onboard the customer. So we need to have the account contacts and also the user setup over here. And we also need to have a community invite email for that one. And we can also hang up the code document under the account over there so that people can have a look at the code document. Then the next one, the back office, the system specialist is creating a design that will be on the design tool itself, and the plan can go up to the 100 MB. So by calculation of the available storage that we have and the number of customers was into the 100 MB, it is not possible to store all the documents within a Salesforce systems over there. So that's the reason I'm proposing to use the Xbox to store the documents over there, AppExchange product, and by which we can also make sure that we can provide access to the system specialist to upload that particular document. The next one, once the design documents are created, the system specialist notifies the customer and also require collaborations over there. So for collaborations, I'm proposing to use the chatter over there. And once design meets the customer requirement, the customer can digitally sign. So for that, I'm proposing to use DocuSign, which is also nothing but extension of DocuGen. Is a single AppExchange product over there, and a chatter notification can be used. And also for collaboration, we are planning to use a chatter over here. The next one, the approval process based upon the financial data that has been provided by the customer. So I'm proposing to have a two-step process because we have a office local manager as well as the regional manager based upon a certain installation cost over here. And next one, they using their Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn credentials to log into the Salesforce. I'm proposing to use a social sign-on, and for that one, we can use the OpenID Connect. So that is nothing but auth provider setting within a Salesforce that we need to do. And for the Facebook, Twitter, we already have a predefined the client ID already available within a Salesforce, and we can also enable those same providers into the community. Moving on to the contracting and installations over there. So here let me open up the integration. Okay. Okay. So here the contractor records are master in ARP system. So we need to get that one. So I'm proposing to use over here the ETL for nightly batch and the bulk API to bring the data within the Salesforce system. And once it's available over here, we need to create a user record and also the profiles. But the thing is that the contact is the non-system object and the user is a system object. So we need to use a queueable just to separate those two out. And only integration will have a user have access to modify those particular records or create those records of contact of contractors. The next one, the system specialist selects the contractor for the installations. So and at which the point the customer design document and estimate everything need to be shared with the contractor. So for that one, we are already giving access to the contractor to the partner community access, and we are also going to have the sharing set on opportunity to provide access to the opportunity. So it means we need to have the contractor look up on that particular opportunity so that he can see that particular opportunity and related code. An opportunity code already having a master details, so it means they will also have access automatically to the codes. Then contractor reviews the customer documents and collaborate with the system specialist, and that is also repeat the customer approval process. So the process that we deployed with the system specialist for the approval will also run the same approval process over here in this case. And the next one, the system automatically generates the contracting agreement for the contractor to sign and store the document. So which is stored in a Salesforce. So they store the document on the contractor accounts, basically. That is the agreement between the contractors and the universal safety over here. And here in this case, DocuGen to create a document and a DocuSign to signature from the contractor itself on this one. So with respect to the DocuSign, we'll have the envelope need to be created over here. And that on that envelope, we'll have the recipient as a contractor in this case. Then the next one, the system specialist is notified the contractor acceptance and signatures over here in this case. And once they are collaborating together, okay, then the order is flagged off as a complete. So at that point, the order need to be created in the ERP system. So that actually moved to the integration 3 and 4. That is nothing but from Salesforce to the ERP, the order and order lines. So for that, I'm proposing to use a platform event using a flow, and that will be going to the fire and forget integration over here in this case. And the ERP system update the order status back in a Salesforce. And for that, we also have another integration in place for that one. That is nothing but integration number 5, that is going to be from ERP to the Salesforce, the order status integration, the remote calling. The REST endpoint will be supported by the Salesforce over here, and that will be also the fire and forget integration. The next one, when the once orders arrives at a customer location, then the system specialist and contractor should be notified by SMS and email. So I'm going to plan to use the SMS magic to send SMS, and that will only happen in the process builder when the particular order status is marked as the order arrives or delivered at a customer locations. Then during the installations, the device need to be added into the customer installation. So it will be added into the monitoring system. So we also need to have an integration from monitoring system to the Salesforce, okay, to create assets. That will be also the remote call in REST endpoint and far and forget integration. And the next one, the once installation is final, Salesforce is updated by the system specialist, and the final information from the installation is sent to the ERP system for invoice creation. So that's another integration from Salesforce to the ERP. Again, I'm proposing to use the fire and forget integration using a platform event and flow over here in this case. Then moving on to the schedule maintenance. The maintenance schedule need to be set up by the system specialist. So here, what I'm planning is to have the plan the schedule on the location. For example, quarterly or twice in a year, some kind of flags over there, and also define the next plan date. So in this case, I am over here. I'm stamping the next schedule date on the location object over here in this case. And when the schedule maintenance is 1 week away, so for that one, we need to create the service order. But to create a service order before that one, I'm proposing to use a lightning flow, the schedule flow, which will create a work orders that will run on a nightly basis, that will create a work order and work order lines, okay, within a Salesforce system. And also behind the scene, once the work order lines get created, it will also have the asynchronous integration or the fire and forget integration to create a service order in the ERP system. So that's where the integration 8A comes in a picture, which is nothing but the endpoint where we are actually sending the orders, the service orders in the fire and forget fashion. Then once schedule maintenance complete, okay, then system facility is just updating the status. So that will be the quick action within a Salesforce where it's changing the status over there. And that will be actually lead to the integration number 9, where we are going to send that particular order status from Salesforce to the ERP system. Moving on to the monitoring and issue management. So here monitoring system is getting a lot of events, and only few events are need to be there in a Salesforce because of something goes wrong with respect to the devices over here. So that is nothing but the creation of the case itself. So that's not integration 9, by the way, that is integration 10. from monitoring system to the cell post to create issue over here. That will be remote calling, REST endpoint, and that will be also the fire and forget integrations over there. The issue can be raised also on mobile phones as well as web. So we already have it in a customer community. We can provide access to the user to create a cases, and also from mobile publisher, we can also have a quick action so that they can create a cases on the fly. The next one, the scanning of the barcode so that we can attach to the particular device, that whole case. So I'm proposing to use the LWC component to capture the barcode and create a case and associate it with that particular asset. Then the issue submitted by this way need to go to the particular geography and expertise. So I'm proposing to use a skill-based routing, and the skills can be the location and expertise accordingly, so that internally within a cell post, the PSR get created, and also the users having a specific skill get assigned to that one. And based upon the PSR and the skill, it get matched, and those are available who will get the particular case request. Then if maintenance or repair work is needed because of that particular issue that comes in because of the case, so we also need to create a service order for that one. And we also need immediate feedback for a success or failure for that one. So for that one, I'm using the same service order integration, but I'm using a request and reply pattern. So in a ESP, you can devise the same integration with the request and reply and fire and forget. And here I need a feedback. That's why I'm devising the request and reply, but the interface, the contract definition will remain same. Then issue created by the support representatives, okay, over there, and they can also create it manually, so they will also have access to the case object on profile. And from this point, maintenance or repair work can be scheduled as previously described, so we are going to reuse the existing integration that we already have it. The next one is all about the data migration, and from data migration point of view, let me open up the slide. So we have a previous old CRM system over here, and we are going to get a leads from there, and the other functionality is going to be deprecated. From ERP, we are going to get a customer location and contacts. So here the issue is that we have the leads from a CRM, but also we have a customers. There could be a leads over here who are already customers, so we need to have a data profiling and cleansing over there. Next to that one, we also have the customer from a multiple ERP, two ERPs over there. So we also need to unify that one single customer record, the golden record, and also we need to stamp either ERP1 and ERP2 on the same customer record, and then only move to the cell post over there. There's no point in having a bringing the duplication within a cell post. So in a ETL, there are specific tools for a data profiling based upon the customer name or ID. You can actually create a golden record out of that one. So that linking process will happen in ETL. Next to that one, in a monitoring system, we also need to bring the asset. That is one of the requirements. So we are also going to filter the assets based upon certain number of years. We need to bring in over here. And in ETL, we'll have the logic where the leads, customer, location, contact, and asset, all the things are put into the staging table, create a relationship out of that one within a ETL over there, and we'll keep then we will use that particular information to bring the data into the cell post using a bulk API 2.0. The bulk API 2.0 allow us to have the automation of the batch size creation as such, and also we'll use the sequence as such, lead, then customers, nothing but account, that contact to onboard users, then contractors to onboard the partner community users, then location associated with the accounts, then assets, and also the sales order and service order over here in this case that is required. So that is also we are going to bring over here in a sequential order over here. The another thing is that currently all the contractors and also specialists having the desktop version of the design tool, and also we're having all the file store on their desktop. So we also need to ask them to have a standard change management process to bring that particular data into the Xbox and also stamp along with that particular accounts record over there, and also respect to the location. So that need to be stamped over here. As a part of a migration, we will have the automation will be stopped, like a triggered and process builders and flow. For example, over there, defer sharing rules, and also a provision for the delta migration, because we will do the complete migration, but there will have extracted data a few days back. So we need to, for the new data that created, we also need to have a delta migration in place on a day on which you are going live for all the regions. Then reconciliations of the data migration, just to make sure that we have got the data from all the systems, that we need to take care of that one. Then the PK chunking, because when you load the customer data, we also need to get the keys back so that we can map them to the contacts and other locations and others. So that's why the PK chunking need to be enabled to have a fast retrieval of the data, and also making sure that child records are in the connected to the same parents are in the same batch for a processing. We can also think about having the parallel processing in place over there. And also one of the important thing is that we need to fine tune the migration process. So for that one, we'll run it in the UAT and we'll check the parameters, we'll fine tune the parameters, and accordingly we'll choose the best combination to be used with respect to the number of batch size and everything around that one to do the data load in a production environment over here. So that's all about the data migration. Moving on to the visibility and accessibility requirement, the system specialist should be able to view all customer data. So that will be the OWD will be private for account and a profile based access on that one. The next one, the specialist should able to see the data within their whole local office. So that's where we are going to use the ownership based sharing rule for the roles associated with their locations. Okay, we are going to provide access. The financial data, I will keep it as a lookup relationship and OWD private, because only certain users should able to see that one, not all. Then managers should able to see the data that will come via role hierarchy, and a financial data OWD as I mentioned before, and they will also have access on a profile to see the financial data because they should able to see that one. Then contractors should be able to view and edit data only for the customer location for which they have assigned. So we'll have a sharing set. So look up on a contractor record on the location so they can only see that particular location data. Then customer contact should able to view and edit only their own customer contact and install data. So the sharing set to allow update own customer, the sharing set, the reason because by default the customer get the read access. To allow edit, we need to have a sharing set with the proper access on that one. Then contact access will get it them by default, and install system data, that is the sharing set on the account lookup as such, so that they can able to see the assets. Then the next one is about account and location setup in account hierarchy. So for that one, I'm going to use external account hierarchy, and primary contacts, I'm going to plan them with the customer community plus licenses over here in this case, so that they can see the data. The next one is about a support center representative. So I'm going to use a criteria-based sharing rule because there are only three separate regions over there, two in the US and one in Canada. So they can get access to the cases and also accounts. Moving on to the reporting requirement. The support representative should able to run the reports on a sales activity. That's the operational reporting. So based upon the opportunity codes. So I'm proposing to use the build custom report type on the opportunity at event to see the data. The next one about the support representative system specialist manager should able to run the reports showing the number of device monitoring events. That's nothing but on a case. I see it as a high volume data, and we need to move those reportings into the, we need to create those reports in Einstein Analytics for that one. So we'll have out of box connector with the Salesforce to Einstein Analytics. We can use that one. Then the next one, manager should able to see the level of monitoring activities. So that is nothing but our platform data from a Salesforce from a monitoring system. So it means we need to have ETL to load the data from a monitoring into the EA and then have a report generated over there. Then customer contact should able to run the reports. So for that one, I'm making assumption that is only for a primary contacts because I'm planning them for the customer community plus to see the reports. And to see the live data from a public websites, I'm proposing to use the analytics and have the API ready on that one, which that particular API can be also consumed by the website to show the report by using a chart.js or different kind of a JavaScript library. Moving on to the project and development requirement, the solution need to be support both English and French. So as I stated before, we will use the community translation, custom label, and translation workbench. Then the UST having the great deal of autonomy on ERP systems, and they work in isolation over there. So for that purpose, I would strongly suggest to make ERP team as a part of the COE and making them a part of the whole complete project landscape. as well as the business and also IT stakeholder management to make sure that the ERP team, whoever manages of the ERP team, whoever the management of the ERP should be also part of this whole sponsorship mechanism over there, and also they are part of the whole COE over here. Upfront agreement and a planning and also commitment from the ERP management is very, very important because this project is heavily also involved with a lot of ERP integrations around over here. So that's something need to be taken care of it. And also as a part of the COE, we also have the other different members I will talk about in a few minutes around that one. But the main thing our getting out of this particular ERP team is to have the buy-in from their management to be part of this whole complete project and also align the delivery and the release timelines. The next one, the IT teams have access to only one development and test environment. So we need to be very careful about devising our the testing strategy over here to start shift left testing approach to means start testing early as possible with the mock and stub services. To start with that, have the contract first agreement for the interfaces between the different teams as such, and also define the risk-based testing matrix. So which testing is very important to be undertake as soon as possible compared to the others one. Next to that one, because of the restricted environments, we also need to think about strong environment management strategy. So we can think about also involving the environment manager dedicated for that one. The another one, we have a 4 months of a stringent requirement to complete the project. So we need to create a blueprint using a waterfall methodology, considering all the changes required over there and deliver using agile methodology, but making sure that what is the defined scope for that particular each and every sprint over there. So that need to be taken care into the account. Then the recommendations for the technical issues, the strong governance around the design architecture must be there with a testability matrix for user story and defects by using a Jira, for example. Then a team management, dedicated team working on the same PI planning goals and also define the RACI matrix within organization is very, very important. And from to avoid organizational issues, we need to have a strong stakeholder alignment and business IT sponsorships and a top-down approach to put forward the project timelines. Next, moving on to the project life cycle. So we'll have the scratch org to start with that one. Okay, the developer will work on that one. They deliver the features. They also do the unit testing. Then the Bitbucket as a source driven development over here. So we'll have everything get deployed from the source repository that need to be Bitbucket, which is connected to the Jenkins, and the Jenkins is responsible to deploy the code onto the each and every environment over there. So the Jenkins will pull the data from Bitbucket over here, and before that, the developer will push the changes into the Bitbucket pull request, and senior developer will approve that request. Then it goes into the Jenkins. If everything goes well, an automated regression test on a CI, which is nothing but a development pro, will move the changes into the SIT, which is a partial environment where we'll do the functional testing, regression testings, and a test using the mock services because of the ERP system is not available. Then also we'll move the changes to the UAT later on. Everything goes okay in a full copy environment where we'll do the UAT training, possibly performance testing, security testing, JavaScript testing, because we have a lot of front-end things over there, and also the multi-browser testing, especially also for the not only for a community, but also think about the multiple mobile devices on which we need to do the testing over here in this case. Then we'll move the changes onto the production environment where also do the smoke testing. If something goes wrong, then we'll fix that one during the hotfix scratch org environment, and we'll make sure that that particular changes also get merged into the Bitbucket. Then we'll have a branching strategy at the bottom. We'll have a feature branch, okay, then development branch and a release branch and a master branch. So all the features will be correlated, will be pulled together and put into the dev branch over there that will go for a particular release, and then all the changes from dev move into the release over there that will be deployed to the SIT and UAT environment over there. Master is the main repository where we have a source of truth of whatever we have it in the production. I strongly recommend to use a Sonar Cube for the, especially for the code checkings, not code checkings, but to checking the quality of the code basically on that one before even go in the pull request. The Selenium for front-end testing, Loader for the performance testing, and Jira to do the testability matrix of the user story or the issues. Then Confluence to have the design document in place over here. So that's the project life cycle. And the project governance will have the COE, which also supported by the PMO, but we also have a change management team because we need to onboard the users, contractors, especially as well as customers. Then we have architect teams, including integrations as well as the Salesforce. Then we have the ERP development team, then the testing team, the release management team, legal and compliance, because we have a certain element over there, and also the business SMEs as well as the business architectures over there, and also the other team that we require in this particular portfolio over here in this case. So we also have an executive steerco, the sponsors over there, and also the architectural review board to validate the reviews and designs, and project committee just to make sure that project is in line with that one, with the delivery because of the stringent timelines. And also we'll have a change control board to make sure that we are controlling the number of requirements coming up for the particular project execution. Otherwise, the project will get delayed. So I hope with this whole solution, the Universal Safety should able to digitize their whole process. And thanks a lot for your listening. Thank you.
Congratulations, candidate. Thank you very much. I will pause the recording now. Let's go.
Cool. Okay, thanks, candidate. Could you please take us to your system landscape?
Yeah.
So you're recommending ADFS here for identity. Could you talk about the life cycle of users getting into Salesforce and being deactivated in relation to ADFS?
Yeah, so when I came with the idea of ADFS, okay, I consider that there is no requirement for provision and deprovision in automated way, and it is being done in a manual way around that one. So when the user need to be created, the internal user, okay, it will be created in a AD, and there will be AD group will be assigned to that particular user. And in AD and ADFS, there is a synchronization mechanism, so that user will be created in also and automatically in ADFS. At the same time, somebody also need to create that user manually into the Salesforce system, and then only based upon a federation ID, the SSO will work on that one. If you really want to go with the automated fashion, then I would strongly suggest to use Okta in place of ADFS, and Okta can connect to AD in that case.
Okay. If we did go with ADFS and we did want provisioning into Salesforce, is there any way that we can have that happen automatically?
The another way I can think about is to have the we can use a JIT for that one, just-in-time provisioning, so that user try to log in. Okay, the first time the user record will be created into the Salesforce system. That is one of the way to deal with that.
Cool.
Is there anything else if the requirement is around automatic deprovisioning as well you could think of?
Then I can think about also automatic deprovisioning. So in that case, of course, Salesforce on a user, we have the API available, so that API can be called over there. The question is that the AD and ADFS might not able to do that one. So one of the central system for the IAM, which actually responsible to onboard the user on AD and all that, should also make an API call to Salesforce to make that user deactivate on a Salesforce platform.
Can you maybe think of a Salesforce product which can do that without custom code?
That could be the Identity Connect. That possible. The scenario talks about there is already the SSO mechanism in place for ERP and monitoring system. And my assumption is that ADFS was already there, and Identity Connect doesn't work providing SSO other than a Salesforce, basically. So that's the reason I'm keep using the ADFS.
Thank you. Jakub?
Okay, I would like to ask you about your org strategy. If you can go to this slide, you made a very strong assumption that there is no compliance requirements with respect to Salesforce. But on page number 4, there is a sentence, due to regulatory requirements for fire and safety systems, the European implementation in the US and Canada have very different order management processes and the data requirements. For this reason, they have remained separate. So if we change our assumption and we say that this data regulatory affects Salesforce, how is it going to impact your org strategy?
Okay, so the first of all, with respect to this requirement, if suppose the compliance also needed on a Salesforce platform, right? Is that my assumption right to answer that question?
So I'm asking you to change assumption and consider a scenario when this data regulatory requirements which affects ERP system will affect your Salesforce new implementation.
Yeah, the first option, I will still continue with the single org strategy around that one, and I also have a built-in secure by design application to provide a minimum access to the people so that the compliance can be maintained around that one. That is the first and foremost on that one. But if that is not the case and that's not going to be work or approved by the legal and compliance team, then the multi-org comes in a picture. But with a multi-org, it will also, I need to consider the ripple effect on the integration as such. The number of integrations will be duplicated around that one. And also the app exchange products, okay, that also need to be replicated around that one. And also from a reporting point of view, I need to get a data from both orgs and also need to push into the Einstein Analytics. So from reporting point of view, it should be okay because we are already using Einstein Analytics over here in this case. From identity point of view, we also need to have the AD and ADFS keep it at the same, but we also need to have a provide identity in a two separate Salesforce instance over there. Another bigger impact will be on a community because the two communities will be separated, one for US and Canada, and same goes for mobile publisher. We need to have possibly the two apps for US and Canada as such on that one. So it will be the complete triple effect on the all other aspect of the solution in a system landscape.
Okay, thank you. Johann?
Thank you very much, candidate. You talked that the file size is not allowed to be more than 100 megabyte to be uploaded via the mobile app. What if we assume that the file size is sometimes bigger than 100 megabytes? How could we solve that issue?
It's all depend upon the two factors. One is the 100 MB is not restrictive limits from Salesforce. It's just to manage the bandwidth that is also there for the internet to able to push that one document into the Salesforce. So that's the first one. If it can actually upload more than 100 MB technically. The second part, if to more than 100 MB need to be done, then in that case it's also better to directly upload onto the Xbox because they have a better plugin with respect to the phone and also link that record from Xbox to the possibly the account or opportunity within the Salesforce over there. So that when you actually looking on the browser, the Salesforce system, you can also see that particular file from the Xbox as the App Exchange product over here in the Lightning Builder.
Okay, how does the Xbox integration work exactly? Can you walk me through?
Yeah, so Xbox integration behind the scene, it uses the OAuth mechanism to connect to the Salesforce. So it's a two-way. The first one, the Xbox stores the files and everything over there, and also from so on a Salesforce, it's actually two-way connections between a Salesforce and Xbox. So Salesforce should able to push the content file directly onto the Xbox over there with the OAuth mechanism, and with that one, whoever user having access to that one, it is also need to be having access on the Xbox as well on that one. So they are able to see the record directly from the Salesforce, that whole screen where the Xbox is exposed into the community or in a Salesforce Lightning Builder.
Thank you very much. Lawrence?
Okay, in your sharing section, you recommended for the first requirement, you recommended using, was it the first or the second? You recommended using a system of ownership-based sharing rules. Yeah, requirement 2 there. Roughly how many sharing rules do you expect to be implementing there and across how many objects?
The ownership-based sharing rule, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so here I'm just expecting the one rule over here. If the user is having access to the record, then that particular record access need to be given to the role, okay, related to that particular other user who are there in that particular office. For an example, if suppose the office is in New York, for an example, then all the people in the role hierarchy are marked as New York users and they have a New York role, whatever actually system specialist. So I'm just assigning that access based upon that particular office over there in this case. And
okay, so let's think of a sort of specific object. Let's say we're talking about accounts. So how many ownership-based rules would we have on accounts to take care of all, to address that requirement? Just one?
In this case, it's just one required actually, yeah.
So I don't think, well, so with the capabilities of an ownership-based rule, is that possible to share records from different regions with the appropriate role?
The requirement is not from the different region. The requirement is that if suppose system specialist have access to the particular record, because he's the owner of that record, he should also able to the other team members, okay, working in the same
Yeah,
office should able to see that record.
yeah. So that highlighted requirement, how's that addressed?
So the hierarchical requirement I'm doing with the ownership sharing rule based upon the roles. If suppose the other colleagues having access because
Is
of
that
the role,
hierarchical? So sorry.
that will be with the role hierarchy basically.
But is that not, so when it says other specialists customers, so they're not at the same level in the role hierarchy?
They are at the same level in the role hierarchy in this case. You are right. I might be missing something over here. Sorry.
Do you want to consider changing the approach there?
Take your time and just read the requirement one more time.
Yeah. System services should be able to view all customers and install system data for the other specialists customer within their local office except for the customer financial data. I would like to pass this one, sorry.
Okay, do you want to come back to it later or?
Yeah, I will think about it. Okay, and time remains, definitely I will come back on this one.
Cool. Okay, Jakub.
Okay, so let's go please to your governance slide. You mentioned something about SonarQube, something like you're going to use it for checking quality of the code. I would like ask you to elaborate how SonarQube is checking the quality of the code, and generally what kind of the coding standards do you expect to be set in this kind of the project?
Yeah, so especially when you have a LWC or any Apex code over there, okay, specifically with respect to the code, the naming conventions, what need to be followed, you can set up certain rules around that one, and also certain rules regarding the bulkifications and everything you can set up over there. Number of methods need to be have it in a particular class and a whole hierarchy over there. So those some rules can be set up in a SonarQube stuff over there, which is also can be plugged into the illuminated cloud, which are the IDE to develop. And so when developer is developing something, the codes over there, then it will be if something going wrong, then it will be informed to the user or developer to take a action against that one. So it's kind of embedded in the IDE basically.
And could you explain how this kind of the quality check can be defined against Apex unit tests? What are the good patterns or anti-patterns which we should be aware of?
So Apex testing point of view, of course, we have that 75% criteria that all the Apex classes need to have Apex test classes around that one. And also, if I'm not wrong, I'm not too much deep into the Apex text part, but I think in a SonarQube also we can actually set up that is there any Apex test class available for the Apex that you're trying to develop over there, and it will show up actually that if this test class is missing or something like that.
Okay, and what about the assertions in the unit tests?
So basically the positive and negative assertions can be added. So if somebody is not adding, it can also warn you that this need to be there in the present in that Apex.
Okay, it answers my questions. Thank you, Johann.
Thank you very much. You talked about during your data migration about PK chunking. Can you walk me through what exactly do you mean there?
Yeah, so basically, let me go to the diagram. So when we load the customer account or accounts into the Salesforce system, we also need to get their ID because we also need to create a customer record, okay, as a contact within a Salesforce, but we need to get the account IDs for which those particular contacts are assigned. To get the high volume of such kind of a record for read-only purpose, okay, we can use a PK chunking over here. That is one of the parameter using the bulk API query over there. That's only using a query, by the way, okay, by which the record will be retrieved based upon that PK chunking value directly from the Salesforce over there. And that will be based upon some sequencing ID based upon account ID, for an example.
But if we use bulk API 2.0, do you still stay with your answer?
Yes, because the bulk API 2.0 also support the PK chunking as such. So bulk API 2.0 and 1.0 difference is that especially while creating or upserting a record, to bulk API 2.0 automatically creates the batches over there compared to the bulk API 1. But bulk API 2.0 also supports PK chunking. It's already been tested.
Okay, thank you very much. Lawrence?
Okay, in the monitoring and issue management section, there's some requirements around issues being raised for monitoring systems. You mentioned the ACID token flow, but your solution, you weren't recommending using the ACID token flow. Can you explain why?
Yeah, the reason is that there are 3 monitoring systems, and also there is a backend mechanism with that monitoring system with respect to those particular devices working fine, and there is no point in changing that one. That's the first reason around that one. And we already have a high volume of the assets within a Salesforce ecosystem right now, and having additional asset token, okay, next to the what already the monitoring system is good at it actually doing. So it kind of the capability mismatch over there. So let monitoring system continue their job, what they are good at actually and sensing the devices rather than introducing a Salesforce asset token flow in that technology.
Right, so this requirement 1B where we have monitoring systems making real-time API calls and certain events occur. Could you just remind me how that was addressed in your solution?
Yeah, so the monitoring system can make a real-time API calls when a certain event occurs. So in this case, my solution is that the devices are sending events to the monitoring system, and monitoring system is actually able to make a real-time API call to the Salesforce system for certain events that happens for which require the attention from the support agents. So only for those particular events, okay, I'm proposing to have the fire and forget integration from monitoring system towards the Salesforce.
Okay, thanks. Jakub?
Okay, on page number 3, you mentioned that you are going to use AppExchange CTI. I would like to understand your justification why you are not using Lightning Dialer or Service Cloud Voice for this requirement.
Technically, you can use that one because a Lightning Dialer is available in a US and a Canada region. So technically, you can use that one. It is yet another CTI product, basically. Okay, it could be AppExchange or it could be a Lightning Dialer as such. Okay, if Lightning Dialer permits, okay, you can still use that one. It's all about providing a capability and not a specific technology selections in terms of a product.
Okay, but what is your general recommendation? Do you prefer to use out-of-the-box features or AppExchange products?
I would prefer to use out-of-box features over here in this case. The only thing is that if suppose Universal Safety want to expand into the other regions apart from a US, Canada, so we need to revisit that decisions over there. So I was trying to make a solution future-proof, but if that's not the intention, then we can keep using a Lightning Dialer which supports the US and Canada.
Okay, and a follow-up question in very similar topic is going to be about your SMS Magic AppExchange package. Is there any out-of-the-box alternative to this?
The out-of-box is the digital engagement SKU that is available from a Salesforce recently that got introduced. So instead of SMS Magic, we can use that particular SKU to send up the SMS message, because the SMS package is also one of the part of the digital engagement SKU.
Okay, so would you like to change your solution or stay with
Yes,
this?
I will change the solution. I will go with the digital engagement SKU rather than the AppExchange. Sorry, SMS Magic.
So how is it going to impact your licenses?
So I'm already providing Service Cloud licenses over here to the user because that's a bare minimum to start with the omni-channel. So I need to top up the license of the DES, Digital Engagement SKU, just to sending up the SMS on that one. I do not know exact on what the number of licenses is based upon a number of SMS that we send out. So that's the reason that is completely based upon the omni-channel licenses that you already have it.
Okay, that's answered my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You talk about the request and reply pattern. Can you please walk me through how to implement it technically on the Salesforce side?
Yeah, so the request and reply can be implemented in a Salesforce in a multiple ways. Okay, so this is the pattern where you try to send a message to the outside system, and outside system is also sending you the reply, either a success, failure, or might be technical key behind the scene. So in a Salesforce, you can use the external enhance external service from a lightning flow to make a call to the external systems over there. So you import the YAML definitions from the external system, and you have the Apex classes get created automatically for you, which is kind of a proxy basically within a Salesforce. And then you can make use of the assigning the parameter in the flow, and you can make a call to the external systems. If you do not want to be used as the external flow because it's part of the user action, if you want to do it in a background, you can also make use of the Apex remote process invocation to make a request and reply pattern can be deployed over there by making a Apex callout.
If you want to do the Apex callout from a trigger, how can you achieve that?
You technically you cannot do that one from a trigger, so you need to decouple that logic of the trigger logic plus the making a call to the outside system. So you need to use a queuable method, okay, to make that call from the trigger if you want to.
Is there an alternative to queuable method?
Future method, you can use that one. The difference between a future and queuable is that with a queuable you can keep the track of that one compared to the future method.
Of course, can you please elaborate on the other differences? I have to laugh, you're just killing it there. Okay, can you please explain the other differences of queuable to future?
The future method cannot be chain, but queuable method can be chain. Okay, so you can have one and multiple one, so that you can actually check the job status behind the scene within a Salesforce.
There's
For
one more
queuable compared to future.
Yeah, there's one more difference. Maybe you know it.
Not the
If
one
not,
I have it right now.
okay, no problem. Lawrence?
Okay, so there's some requirements around social sign-on. So we need to support Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Can you tell me what would happen if we have a customer who has signed in with their Facebook account? If that person then comes back the next day and signs in with Twitter, what happens?
Yeah, so my assumption over here, just to clarify, are they using the same email ID for that particular Facebook or LinkedIn?
Yeah, let's say they're using the same email.
Okay. So if that's the case happen in the registration handler, we are already, we can check that that particular email ID exists or not, or user exists or not. And based upon a different signing mechanism in a Salesforce, the TP link record get created, which talks about for the same user, we have the 2 different or 3 different methods, okay, by which user can log in either with a Facebook or a Google. So Salesforce keep track of that particular the TP link, third-party links under the user record. If suppose we have the same email ID found when they try to log in.
Okay, and which method in the registration handler? How can you just talk me through exactly how that works in relation to the standard interface methods in the registration handler?
So in a registration handler, we have 2 methods: the create and user and update user. So in this case, it will go into the update user method over there because the email ID is already found within a Salesforce system over here in this case. Then later on, when we get update user implementation, we need to have the calls to also have the TP links to be created. So we need to have some custom Apex coding over there.
So is that right? It goes into the update user. So how does Salesforce know that the email address is already existing? Or actually, let's maybe abstract the example a bit. If it's not a matching email address, let's say their first name and their surname match.
Yeah, so if it is a first name and a last name match in that case, and if suppose with that particular name is user trying to come into the Salesforce system, okay, I would suggest a better way that we can actually allow user to log in with a Salesforce, and later on, we can also send them a particular third-party link that normally gets generated, by which user can log in with the different social login mechanism. That is a clear way for allowing a people to onboard with a different authentication provider like a Facebook and Google.
Okay, cool, thanks. Jakub?
On page number 6, you mentioned that you are recommending to use scheduled Apex. Could you explain why you are not recommending for this requirement scheduled flow, and what are the differences between using these tools?
Yeah, so what I'm present, the recommendation to use the schedule flow, because there is a requirement which talks about before 7 days, we should able to create a service order into the ERP system. But for that one, we also need to create the work and work order that I recommended to use it in a shell post to keep track of those particular service orders over there. So just to make sure that we are creating a work orders only for the relevant records. 7 days before, and also when to create a service order, I'm recommending to use the schedule flow to find out which work orders to be created.
Okay, sorry. So I misunderstood that you're recommending schedule Apex. And could you explain what will be the difference in the performance between using schedule Apex and schedule flow?
In terms of pay, there will not be any difference with that one, because I'm just using a flow to schedule, but behind the scene, it's Apex batch is actually getting invoked.
Okay, that's clear. Thank you. Johann?
Candidate, this was a great answer. Thank you very much. You talk about your community strategy, that you have two different communities, but your primary customers and your contractors should be able to collaborate via chatter. Can you please walk me through cross-community chatter implications?
So for customers, I didn't say that I'm going for two communities. I'm going to use the same community, by the way. So my partners and customers are still using the same community.
Okay, how do you make sure that the customers and the partners, when they work in the same community, see only the content and the fields and so on they should see?
So basically, for the partners or contractor here in this case, we'll have a different profile compared to the user. We can also set up the audience within a community to show only the right relevant data to the people over there. So these are the other ways actually to deal with providing a different experience on the same community for a different set of users.
Okay. Why do you go for one community instead of two communities?
Because there is a requirement to have a chatter communications and also a lot of collaborations, and if you have two communities, then it will not work. To have the collaboration between the customer, partners and system specialists, it's better to have one single community where you have a single line of a communications or collaboration stage over there.
Okay, can you maybe walk me through the details of cross-community chatter? So if two people, if there is, so can people who can chatter posts in a group seen across two communities?
If they have access on that particular forum, they can. In this particular scenario as such, because we are working on the location object, which is a common for partners as well as for the customers, it makes sense if you have any chatter on that particular location and also anything related to the code discussion going on, it's better to maintain on a single community.
Again, why? Can you walk me through? So could, in theory, if you have two communities, could they see the posts on the location object from the other community?
I think they should be able to see, because they have access on that location record, so they should be able to see all the chatters on that particular object. Okay, but I'm not sure about it.
So if this is true, actually, they can see cross community. So do you still stay with your single community strategy, or do you change the solution?
I will stay with a single community over there. The reason is that I can reuse a lot of components, okay, within a same community over there, and the hassle of maintaining a two community doesn't make sense because we are working on a single business process.
So do you say you cannot reuse components across communities?
You can reuse the components, reuse across different community over there. The main point is that the business process is a kind of a weaving between the partners and customers, and I can manage with the one community in a better way. So my community management becomes very easy compared to the managing two separate communities over there. If I reuse the component, okay, I need to also make sure that I need to drag and drop twice in two different communities over there. That will increase a little bit of work in terms of a development efforts on that one. Rather, I would stay on a one single community.
Yeah, let's change the assumptions a little bit and say we have two different brandings. There's the customer community and the contractor community has a different branding, a different logo, different color scheme, different navigation. Can you achieve that in a single community?
You cannot achieve that in a single community. So in that case, you need to go for another community as such on that one. Technically, it can be done in a single community, but in that case, I will not overkill the whole CSS stuffs and all that, and I will go with two separate communities in that case.
So what is your final answer here?
So the answer is not there for branding as such. I will still stick with one single community as much as possible, basically.
Thank you very much. Laurent?
Okay, could you just jump to your large data volume slide, please?
Yeah.
So on the asset object, you've got you've worked that out as around 30 million per year. Based on the typical life cycle you'd expect around these products, what sort of volumes do you expect that to be at any given time, say in 3 years' time?
Yeah, so in a 3 years time, it actually definitely will be the kind of a 90 million as such as around this one. And I think the asset object might not be the right choice for that one in this case. I just kept the asset in a self-host system. The reason is that for customer, they need to see that asset for which they are raising the cases over there. But also I'm providing option to archiving the old asset which are not being used, but still the asset could not be a right solution in that case. So in that case, we need to either remove the assets or we need to go with a big object to keep the assets over there and keep the minimal operational uses of that particular object data to show it on a community in that case.
Okay, is that your preference to use the big object?
I would go with a big object because such kind of a high volume data, but it comes with other replications. For an example, I also need to have the custom user interface in the community to show that particular assets within the not only the community but also for the internal users as such. So it comes with the other aspect.
Okay, any other implications you want to run through?
So if I go with the big objects, okay, then I cannot have the few automations, okay, that are normally available on the standard or custom objects over there. The few automations as such on that one, that trigger, for an example, those are mostly for the high volume data uses, and especially the insert upsert works kind of in a similar fashion. So, okay, and it takes care of the duplicates automatically on that one. Yeah, these are the few implications over there. And also with a big object, I can have even it goes in a billions, I can manage that in the future.
Okay, anything about sharing you might need to be wary of?
For big object, I need to manage the sharing. Okay, for that I need to have the proper lookup on account and a location ID on the big object, and I need to take care of that particular sharing mechanism as part of my custom visual component, the lighting component, basically.
Okay, anything around reporting?
You can't do the reporting on the big object. You need to connect that particular with Einstein Analytics. You need to connect that big object to have the data over there and to have the reporting on that one.
Okay, and if you just jump to your data model just up there, is there anything on there you need to reconsider? Are you comfortable with all of that?
Considering that asset object is going to be the big object, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Let's maybe put on the slide annotation that asset is a big object. It will be easier to.
Can you repeat that one?
If you are going to change your solution to make asset a big object, if you can add the big object postfix, it will be easier to be sure what is your final answer. Thank you.
Yeah, so if I go with a big object, okay, I cannot have the account to the relationship with the asset. Okay, I cannot use the control by parent in that case because I'm kind of putting up the account ID as a lookup actually on the asset. So that's the big change for me. The second one, in a community, I cannot use the sharing set. So I need to use the custom lighting component to visualize those particular assets. So that's another implication that comes in a picture. the other things kind of at the lookup I need to manage on a big object. So also I need to make sure that when I'm going to create a big object, I am providing only 5 custom indexes. So I need to be careful about which custom indexes I'm going to provide to create those.
And you mentioned around the community front end changes there. Is there anything that you might need to do differently within Salesforce for internal users?
So in a community front end, especially with respect to the asset, I can use that particular lighting component for internal as well as for the external. Okay, that still will work out. I don't see any problem over there in that case, and I think I can take care of the security in the Apex behind the scene.
Okay.
So I will have a follow-up question on big objects topic. If you can explain how exactly you are going to define custom indexes on this big object, in which sequence? Yeah,
so for assets are actually first linked to the location. So my first indexes will be on a location because I want to see the asset related to the location first in a community or either on the Salesforce internally over there. So that will be the first. The second one will be on the possibly an account, and next one will be on the case and then the product over there. I need to be very careful in defining those particular sequences because once I created those sequence of the indexes, I cannot change that one. I need to recreate that object. So a little bit more thought around need to be given on that part, but I will keep it at the location at the start at the first over there, then the account, case, and product.
Okay, so if location is going to be your first index and account your second index, how you are going to expose all assets related to a single account?
So from the user point of view, the most of the assets are related to the location. So if people having access to the account, they can see the location, and with the location, they can see the assets. So my flow will be from account to location and location to the assets.
Okay, but it was just a follow-up. If you can go to the integration slides, I would like to ask you about a few small things. Firstly, on the third point, you are using platform event to send information about orders and order items. Could you explain how you are going to put data from these two different objects on the single platform event, or how is it going to work?
Yeah, so basically if I'm not wrong, the platform event actually we should able to combine the data from two objects, and that is a big difference compared to the CDC as such. So that's the way actually we are going to expose the order and order lines through the platform events over here.
Okay, but it can happen that sometimes you have just one order item and sometimes you have 10 order items, right? How we are going to put data from different number of child records on the single platform event?
So we'll have the nested loop around that one basically. So we'll have nested records within the platform event to be sent over there. So one order with a multiple order lines in that one.
Okay, and I see that generally you're using this platform events in only in this integration, or do you use it somewhere else?
So platform event can be also used it internally within a Salesforce if you want to have the something need to be happen asynchronously or in a fire and forget mode. For example, if suppose you raise a platform event to have some action need to be taken based upon that particular platform events onto the some other part in the Salesforce. For example, any other objects record update, for example, you can still use the platform event. So it can be also used internally, not only the externally for integrations.
Okay, and have you considered using outbound message instead of platform events for the thread integration? What will be the benefit and potential disadvantage of this approach?
Yeah, I have considered the outbound message to be used. The difference between, but I preferred the platform event for that one. The reason for that one, the platform event, I can make use of the order and order lines combined into the one single. Compared to the outbound message, I need to give an order, then we need to have a callback from the ESP back to the Salesforce to get the order lines again from a Salesforce. So that is another remote call in towards the Salesforce, so additional calls towards Salesforce over there. The next one is about a sequencing. If suppose the ESP is get missed because of the some data, it can actually replay the messages from the back, and it can retrieve the messages. Compared to the outbound, it's not possible to do that one. So I think these are the few considerations to go for the platform event compared to the outbound messages.
Okay, thank you. Johann?
Thank you very much. I think let's just do the last round of questions. So this, you talk about a sharing set on opportunity. Is there an alternative way you can go?
No, I'm not. Okay, I think I made a mistake over there, because you have access to the account. You also have access to the opportunity in that case, because it's controlling the access. So basically, you automatically get access to the opportunity.
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
So basically, account and opportunity having a special kind of a relationship. It's still kind of a lookup, but you also have the lookup on the of account on opportunity. So if you have access to the account, you will get access to the opportunity.
So everybody who has access to an account always gets access to the opportunity. Is this what you're saying?
If there is a lookup in the community, then they will be able to see that account opportunity, by the way.
Okay, thank you very much. Lawrence?
Okay, in the section scheduled maintenance, there's requirement 1 is around a maintenance schedule which is set by system specialists when the installation is complete, managed by the support center after installation. Where's that maintenance schedule represented, and how is that managed?
Yeah, so I'm not creating any separate object for that one. I'm maintaining the maintenance on the location level. Okay, so at a location, I'm saying setting up the frequency, and also I'm setting up the next maintenance date on the location itself. Okay, that will be done by the system specialist. Then my schedule flow will take care of reading those values 7 days before, for an example, over here in this case. And based upon the next plan date, okay, if this comes around that one, then it will create a work order and work order lines, and it will definitely create a service order back into the ERP system. So I'm not using any maintenance object, but I'm trying to put a logic on a location to considering that keeping it kind of a simplistic and minimalistic as much as possible.
Okay. Okay. Any particular reason that you're not representing that as a, so you, well, actually maybe just sort of talk me through how that, exactly how that looks on the location. So say we've got a, so we have on average each customer location is serviced twice a year. So if we're setting up a maintenance schedule for the warranty period, how would that be represented on the location?
Yeah, so the approach that I'm taking on a location, so somebody is setting up the frequency twice, so I can have a pick list which says, for an example, twice a year, for an example, and also the next maintenance date, which is set over there. So suppose that it's going for a maintenance next week, for an example, and then batch apex will pick that record, okay, and it will set the next date, which is the one after that one. So basically, if suppose it's get maintenance in a 1 week, so then the next big plan date for maintenance will be after 6 months, for an example, if the maintenance for 2 years. So that will be set during that particular time. The only disadvantage of this particular process that I'm not able to track how many maintenance plan were there, but I do have the work orders and I do have the service order in the ERP system to track how many times that particular maintenance has been done. By this one, I'm reducing the effort in terms of maintaining the schedule plan as such. But if there is a requirement to also see the future plans as such, as well as the history in the one single way, then I think I can go for the another custom object. But I will keep my solution the way it is there right now, because it is fulfilling the requirement mentioned in the scenario.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Jakub?
Hi, I've got a quite simple question, because your location custom object is in lookup relationship to account. Could you explain why it is not master detail relationship, and what is your justification?
There is a requirement which talks about not all contacts from the customer should see the location over here. Basically, they should able to see the assets and everything for which they are actually the location owner, basically, in that case. So in that case, if suppose they do not have access to that particular location, if they are not working on that particular location, they should not able to see that one. So with the lookup, I can manage the relationship over there, and I can only show them a record for which locations for which they should able to see those particular data.
Okay, so with a lookup relationship, we have a few options how the parent object should behave when we are trying to delete account, and either location should block this operation if location exists, or it should just clean it. Could you explain which of these options are you going to recommend to use and what is going to be the implication of this choice?
Yeah, the implication of the choice is all about the locking a record for account. Okay, but here in this case, we have 150K accounts and we have a 2 locations. So the performance is not an implications over there. So even if you do not clear up the value, that is the setting on a lookup, it should be okay. But in ideal setting for a high volume, we should always remove that parent reference from the location if the location get deleted.
So what is your final recommendation for this specific?
I will remove the reference actually from the location to the account in that case if you are going to delete, because still 150 is not a small number, and also 300K is not a small number to tackle.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Just my last question here. What is your test data strategy? Yeah,
so for testing a data, first of all, I will start with the Apex data factory, and the data can be loaded from the in a static resource, for an example, or with the Apex data factory, you can create a data on the fly to start with the kind of unit testing as such on that one. And just when you are moving on to the upper environment, for an example, the TST environment, we have a big issue with respect to the not availability of the ERP system. So in that case, I'm proposing to use the mock services, and we'll have some dummy services running either on a ESP, or we can also create a dummy services either in a Salesforce to mock up the test data, which we need to do the functional testing to be completed over here in this case, which is the risk over here because of the ERP environment. But when you go in a ERP, the UAT environment over there, because we are also loading the high volume data from the required for the migration as such, I would suggest to do the full blown the performance testing as well as the full blown the functional testing once again to make sure that everything working fine with respect to the whole scenario or user story that we have it over here.
Okay, thank you very much.